Hey, welcome back to KP Unpacked. This is where the biggest ideas in AEC, AI, and innovation, they all collide into one podcast. It's powered by KP Ready Co. And this is where we break down the trends, the technology, the discussions, and the strategies that all shape the built environment and beyond. My name is Jeff Echols. I'm the executive director at Catalyst here at KP Ready Co. And I am joined as usual by our CEO and founder, KP Ready. Hi, KP.
Hey Jeff, how's it going?
It's going well. You are still in Atlanta, yes?
I am till the end of the month. We had our quarterly meeting here, which was fun, exhausting, exciting, and exhausting. Yeah, we come in a day early to like prep and kind of get our ducks in a row. Although sometimes it may not look like we have our ducks in a row, we actually try very hard. I actually was talking about and then we all day, breakfast to dinner all day.
Hmm.
And then the next day we do a debrief. So here we are Thursday and still kind of seepy.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
but
So
it's
I
but it's interesting. I try to tell people let's refrain from calling what we do as events. It's really more like meetings
yeah.
because we're not an events company. We just like to get together.
Yeah. Maybe events puts a, different perspective and a different expectation. And I think the important part of it is,
Right.
um, it's the conversations, it's the
Right.
discussions that happen at those things, at those meetings, if we
Right.
want to call them that. And yeah, I pulled into my driveway at 1 o'clock in the morning after flying back, and was on our stand up at 9 o'clock, I guess it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's still a little bit bleary eyed, brain's still a little bit mushy, but it was. There were good conversations that we had. About 50 some odd people in the room,
Hmm.
building owners and developers, building product manufacturers, architects, engineers, contractors,
Yeah.
startup founders, VCs. It was a great room.
Yeah. It's also funny, the other thing I think about is like we deliberately did not do name tags this year,
Right.
which is this quarter, which was a little bit me kind of experimenting with the people to say that, like, if you don't have name tags, is it a forcing function to actually meet who's next to you
And introduce
versus
yourself.
like and introduce yourself versus looking
Yeah.
at the tag and saying, I don't want to meet no architect. Like it's almost like name tags. You skip over the people you don't want to spend time with to quote
Yeah, I
unquote
can see that.
get to the people you want to spend time with. The reason I know this to be true is because I do the same damn thing.
Sure. Sure.
It's like, especially when they have the title on their tag, I'm like, director of. Pfft, I'm
Yeah.
not talking to you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep walking. I'm looking for CEOs. I'm gonna keep walking.
Right. Right. Now, because I'm in front of the room a lot, right? And you and I, so I kick it off, and you and I co-lead the morning sessions, and then in the afternoon, this quarter, you took the owners off with some of the research team, et
Mhm.
cetera. You took the owners off, and then Ian and I co-led the afternoon sessions with mastermind members and
Mhm.
other guests that are focused on those conversations. And so this obviously, but being in front of the room and recognizable, people will come up, right? They'll come up to you in the
Mhm.
breaks and in the interstitial spaces and times, and um, they'll give you feedback,
Mhm.
which is fantastic. Not a single person said anything to me about a name tag.
Yep.
Did anybody say anything to you about a name tag?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Interesting
You know, it
experiment.
it's also one more thing that we don't have to deal with because we're
It
not
is.
an
It,
events,
it,
right? Like
it is truly.
go to a registration table,
Yep.
blah blah blah. It's like who wants to do any of that, right? We, we didn't give out any swag. Sorry, you don't get swag. You can
Yeah.
bring me swag, but don't expect to get any swag. We're not here for the swag or the um, or any of that. But I thought what was interesting I was kind of telling my wife this, right? Like this event, the engagement was super high. The energy was, I mean, I think it's like our best ever, quite honestly. I think it's our best
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, yeah. We've been iterating for a long time, for a year and a half on this, and yes, it continues to improve, definitely.
And one of the things that was very different was how many people have been listening to this podcast. Really listen, not just listening, but applying what they're learning from the pod
Yeah,
and like playing it back to me.
right.
In fact, I think there
Right.
was like a short or something where I said something like, it's really embarrassing when people come up to me
Hmm.
and say they love the pod. I just kind of shrink up. I just get very shy, right? I'm like, okay, great. What I said. I had like three people come up to me like, hey man, love the pod. Wink, wink. Like trying to troll me, right? Trying to troll me. And I was like, okay, that's good. Like, people are listening. That's good.
Yeah.
But and same thing with the blog post. I mean, like we
Hmm.
generate so much content, right? It's not which is um, the number one complaint I get. You guys generate too much content. I don't know where to
Sure.
start. I don't know where to end. It's just too much, which I'm really excited about the Catalyst platform, how we've kind of redeveloped it. And then we're going to have an AI chatbot in there that you
Right.
can like
Multiple.
ask multiple
Multiple. Yeah.
chatbots and you can ask it, hey, I need help raising money. I want to understand how to improve my career, whatever.
Hmm.
And of course, the AI will give you some answers. It'll give you some answers. But a lot of the answers are driven by the content we have, the
Right.
blogs, the Sunday scaries, all of it.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I think the bigger benefit is it cites it.
Hmm.
So if you're, early career and I don't know how to deal with my boss, whatever, and you had this great conversation with Kevin on one of the pods or whatever, and when a blog post, it'll actually go cite that. So I think the real benefit is not going to be like the AI tells you what to do, but it's going to kind of tell you like where to go find it, which I think is going to be super helpful because we do have so much content.
Yeah. Well, and you realize on that front that some of the answers are also going to be send KP a Jethro Tull shirt because that's going to
Oh,
show up.
I think that window has closed now, right?
You keep walking that back. Yeah, we'll
Have you?
see.
I haven't.
By the way, for those of you that are listening to this, we're recording right now, and KP is wearing his Metallica T-shirt.
Yeah, actually, I had to explain it. Like, not every like one of the guys, Eric, like he knows Jethro Tull, and he didn't know like what I was talking about, right, on the
Yeah,
award stuff and
the
how
Grammys. Yeah.
the Grammys, right? And so I posted it in Catalyst, and he was like, he actually commented on it, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, that's what you were talking." Like, I didn't know what you were. I didn't understand the connection between Jethro Tull and Metallica. I didn't realize this had happened
Mhm.
back in 1989.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the heavy
you
metal.
know,
Yep.
so he got all the value out of Catalyst just on that one nugget for the month.
Everything else is gravy. Well, I guess
So,
we're done here.
yeah.
It's- yeah, but it's the so yes, I'm glad I'm glad that what we're building there on Catalyst is already having an impact. The tools that we're able to implement now that we weren't able to a year ago or whatever, right? They they provide incredible benefits and functionality. And so as we're talking about this right now, if you want to join Catalyst, and so let me just describe part of the vision of Catalyst is it becomes the hub for everything that we do.
Mhm.
There's a platform for mastermind groups. There's the platform for our incubators, the platform for our integrated owners forum. There's a platform for our advisory clients, and also all the conversations and live virtual events,
Hmm.
all of those things. It becomes the hub for all of that and these conversations and the content that's being produced and everything else. So, in order to gain access to Catalyst, you have to be approved, which means that you have to have a conversation with me. And the way that you set that up is the application process is super simple. Go to kpready.co, kpready.co, and right there, right in your face, is the application. There's just a couple of fields there that you need to fill out, and we will start that process with you. And if you're lucky enough, and let me just say that if you send a Jethro Tull t-shirt, there is a box. We talked about this last week when we talked about awards programs, like there's scoring
Hmm.
systems. There's a scoring system for applications for Catalyst, and sending a Jethro Tull t-shirt is one of those check boxes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, let me comment on
there's
one
that.
thing, Jeff. Right? It sounds like you're selling people, which would imply there's something to buy.
Right.
There isn't.
There isn't.
There isn't anything to buy. I mean,
Right.
we'll take your money. I mean, I think we can take credit cards. I'm not sure what, but Catalyst is not a paid program,
Right. Right.
and I think when you and Roe and the team have been all over this, like I think a lot of it comes from the fact that um, LinkedIn has so many limitations. One of
Hmm.
the things lately has just been like spam. Like, I go into my
Yeah.
LinkedIn messaging and I'd love to help. I mean, I love helping folks, right? But I have to get through 300 messages of spam
Yeah.
before I get to anything like of interest. So I think there's that. One, I think I'm at my LinkedIn max, so I
Right.
can't even connect with you.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I
In
think
terms of
what's happened.
connections, you're maxed out.
Yeah, yeah. And I think so. I think that where it's and publishing documents and things like that. Like we
Hmm.
publish like best practices and white papers and all kinds of stuff that you just can't really do on LinkedIn. It's really hard to do on a website. And quite honestly, you don't, it's not we don't charge for this stuff. But I'm just disinterested in sharing content with people that are just like content hoarders.
Mm, yeah.
Like I have friends in the VC world, they just collect pitch decks. I don't know
Right.
why, they're just hoarders, like digital hoarders, right? And I think some of that happens, and I think there's no benefit of, and we see people like download stuff, and you do it on LinkedIn, and then someone starts commenting and trolling, and who is this schmuck? Like, it's just like a pain in the butt. And so I kind of feel like as much that as we're doing, we just want to do it, support the people that are really ambitious and motivated
Right.
versus versus like the general public, that just want to
Hmm.
troll. And I mean, I get some great comments every once in a while, and I'm like, I don't care, right? I'm too old to care. But I think what's awesome is in Catalyst, just the conversations are real deeper, and
Hmm.
then our quarterly meetings. Then people get, they have the opportunity to show up to quarterly meetings, which there is money for that, by the way. We charge for that, but
Yeah.
nobody's going to sell you on that because if either you feel compelled to come or you don't come, like that's just how it
Right.
is, right? But we put all this stuff out there on the internet, like, oh, come join us at this and come do that, and it's like, what's the point? Like, just come into the inner circle. We'll tell you what's going on. Some things cost money. A lot of things don't cost money.
Yeah.
And do or don't do. I mean, you're not hurting my feelings, right? We don't have this great revenue model. Like, oh, $500 a month. We're buying new cars or anything over here. And it's funny. Like I did a pricing strategy session the other day with a startup, and I kind of said like the only reason sometimes you charge money, like you think about pricing models, is partly about the value, but partly
Hmm.
about who you want your customer to be,
Right.
right? I have friends that do personal training. Some of them charge like $50 a session. Some charge
Mhm.
$500 a session. I'm not sure that there's a huge difference other than the ones charging 500 or working with celebrities and high net worth people, and those are the people they want to train, and
Yeah.
that's their filter. That's their filter. That's their
Yeah.
choice, right? I don't know if there's a huge difference, right? So I think when we do charge for stuff, it's not like we're nobody's getting rich over here, folks. But I mean, I am, but not through $500 fees or anything. Um, but I do think it is a great qualifier for how interested are you.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's to your point, and yes, there are things that cost, right? Tickets for this, membership to that, masterminds, obviously advisory services, right? There are those things,
Mm-hmm.
but Catalyst as the platform does not cost. But the reason that we vet, the reason that you have to have a conversation with me in order to get in is because we do want to keep it curated at the same time that we are pushing to grow this community. And let's be clear, we're pushing to greatly expand this community, but at the same time it's curated, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want the people who are interested in, that are invested in, and I mean that literally and figuratively, but are
Mm-hmm.
invested in innovation for the built environment, is how we say it a lot, right? So architects, engineers, contractors, building owners, startup founders, VCs, everybody that's in that ecosystem. We want the most engaged.
Mm-hmm.
We want the most forward thinking. We want the people that really are paying attention, that want to learn more, that want to share more, that
Mm-hmm.
are either doing the work or are
Mm-hmm.
moving in that direction. We can't forget about the fact that we have our early and mid-career mastermind groups, and we talk about this sometimes. Well, what's the bar? How many years should somebody have in order to be? No, it's not about that, right? Because even our early and mid-career folks who may be 5 years into their career, they're the ones that are pushing and accelerating towards becoming a director of innovation or chief innovation officer. So it's the who's the ICP, as we actually had that discussion this morning. Who's the ICP for this? It's not by title,
Right.
right? It's as much by psychographic as it
Mm-hmm.
is anything else. And so that's the reason that I'm the gatekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason that we curate this in an attempt to make this as big and valuable and useful as possible for exactly the right people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, enough of
And
that. Enough hard selling everybody, Jeff.
yeah, well, we'll click here.
Keep
Um,
trying to tell Jeff, like, stop being such a sales guy. Like,
yeah. And if you're not, if you can't see this, if you're just listening, I have on the proverbial plaid blazer of the used car salesman right now.
have you seen Glengarry? Have you been up to New York yet to see Glen Ross on Broadway?
No, I've seen the movie, but I've not seen it on Broadway.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fantastic. I actually was up in New York when I did that thing for NASDAQ, and my hotel was across the street from it.
Oh yeah.
And I got there like 30 minutes too late to the hotel because they were like, "Oh, we can get you seats."
Mm.
And just like my cab ride was just a little bit, my Uber ride was a little bit longer, but I like missed it by like 30 minutes. But art is
Okay.
fantastic. Speaking of
Yeah.
sales, if you haven't seen
Yeah.
Glen Ross, absolutely
Always
watch
be
it. It's a
closing.
great movie.
Yeah. ABC.
Always.
One last thought on content and on the amount of content before we jump into creating today's content. One of the things that I've started doing inside of Catalyst is doing a weekly content recap. So Friday, if you're going, okay, you guys produce a lot of content. What was it? What is it this week? In under 10 minutes, I go through the highlights of all the content that we have created for the week, the podcast, the YouTube shorts, the YouTube longs, if that's the right term for it, the Substack articles, the latest newsletter, all of it. So You can find that on Catalyst. It's just me doing a live stream on video. Um, no expectation that anybody actually shows up live for that, because it's a quick hitter, right? I just bang, 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 bang. This is what we did. This is what we produced this week. But I talk about the articles, and you can use that as a guide. And there is a sort of a print version accompaniment to that as well. So you can go in every week and see, just in a nutshell, what all the content for the week was. But that's in Catalyst. So check that out. Now, the reason that we come here, that KP and I come here every week, is to unpack one of his LinkedIn articles. Thus the name KP Unpacked. If you ever wondered, where did that name come from? We started out, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something, unpacking one of your LinkedIn posts every week. And you post a lot, so we have to narrow it down. If you're not following KP, again, he mentioned earlier, you can't connect with him. He's maxed out his connections there, but you can follow him. So just go look for KP, the letters K and P, and then Reddy, Reddy, and follow him. And one of the things that you'll find there on LinkedIn is this Sunday Scaries series. And that's what we're going to draw from today for this conversation. It actually came up Tuesday at our quarterly event in Atlanta. Conversation around this post as well. So I'm gonna just read a little bit of it, and then we'll start to unpack it. So this is from KP's Sunday Scaries from May 18th, 2025. As you're listening to this in 2030 or whenever it is that you're listening to this, is titled "The Cure for the Common Cold." That ought to get everybody. This is how you cure the common cold. Not
Clickbait.
Really. Yeah, click. Yes, you said it, not me. It starts out, in today's AI-driven world, being useful isn't enough. Your startup needs to be the cure, and prove it. If you are a regular reader of the Sunday Scaries, you may think that I have changed my mind as of late. It's possible, since the world and business environments constantly are changing. There's an old saying, is your startup a vitamin or a painkiller? The idea was that you should be a painkiller. The long-term benefit of a vitamin isn't seen early enough for a customer to get excited, while a painkiller has an immediate effect. It turns out that this doesn't even apply anymore. Take the common cold. There are so many medications to treat the symptoms, but no cure. So now the adage is your startup a vitamin, a painkiller, or the cure? And I could go on. It's not much longer than that, actually.
Yeah.
It's a relatively short Sunday Scaries, but I think that's a great way to or a great place to stop reading it, because that's it in a nutshell. Is your startup, and we could apply this to any business model for anybody that's listening right now, but is your startup a vitamin, a painkiller, or is it the cure?
Yeah.
You brought this up on Tuesday at the quarterly um, meeting, and it spurred some good conversation. But let's go all the way back to the reason that this became the idea, and you said, "Hey, I'm gonna use this for Sunday Scaries." What was the inspiration for this to be the Sunday Scaries topic?
Yeah, I think a lot of where this is coming from is the technology I'm seeing that I'm impressed with, and the technology I'm seeing that I'm unimpressed with, but more so the business models. And the shift in business models is what matters, right? So, it's always like, hey, let's go find the customer pain. We hear this a lot, right? We hear this a lot. Oh, we need to understand the pain points, right? And and it's funny, the part of this was inspired because my son wasn't feeling well. And so I had to go get him some stuff from the CVS. I'm walking
Sure.
down the aisle. I'm trying to, and by the way, there's so many medicines: cold and flu, nighttime,
Hmm.
daytime, liquid, gel caps. Pretty insane,
Yeah.
right? So there's this entire industry. So I'm walking down, I'm like, there's this entire industry. Each box is like $15 to $25 a box. None of them are a cure.
Right.
None of them are a cure. It's like And by the way, like, oh, you got Mucinex. I mean, you got all the brands, right? And there's extra strength. And I don't know why you would take anything less than extra strength. That seems like a weird game. But,
But but
in every,
the other day I saw something, I forget what it was now, but it was like extra extra strength. There was a
extra,
different one. I was like, what are we doing here?
right? I mean, am I ever like, oh, that's too much strength? But I like
Ultimate.
I have a moderate cold. I don't.
Mhm. It just
Uh,
and it comes in a box shaped like a coffin.
right. So that was kind of the thing. I'm looking around saying, hey, this cold medicine business is a great business. God forbid anyone find a cure for the common cold. These guys are done, right? They're done. Or even a vaccine for my friends that like to talk about vaccines these days. But at the end of the day, you look at that and you hear it in business all the time. Like, oh, is it a feature? Oh, how does it solve a customer pain? I mean, even in like with our startups, we talk about like, how are you solving the customer pain point? And I think with AI and the innovation of business models that are highly, highly disruptive, I think that's the goal. It's not about being a painkiller, it's about the cure. And so, um, if you're, I'll make it up more generically, right? If you're in sales and you're like, oh, I need to generate more leads, great. I'm going to buy HubSpot. Nothing wrong with HubSpot. I'm going to go buy HubSpot. I'm going to go buy some leads maybe, or generate some leads through some downloadable, some lead magnet things. And then I do that, and then I send an email out, and I follow up, and I follow up, and those leads convert to qualified leads, whatnot, and then I still have to sell them. And I'm going to pay HubSpot, couple $100 a month, whatever the number is. Apparently more than that sometimes.
Yep.
That's solving some pains, right? What's the pain? It's hard to really maintain and manage the workflow and process, and that's how you pay. Now, instead of that, maybe the new AI sales system is we send you sales. We send you orders. Our AI engine will send you orders, and we want 10% of that.
Hmm.
And that's how we get paid. And that's the business model. And so I think that's where the shift is going. And when you look at things that are pervasive in our industry, like RFIs and stuff, I mean, I went to the ENR Construct Future Tech thing. And like I said, I think I told the ENR folks do a great job, so this isn't anything against them. It's really just that I saw so many companies, oh, we're going to track your submittals. I
Mhm.
mean, what is project management? What is project management and what is project management software? It's
Tracking of
just
things.
tracking things.
Yep.
But
Things
what
in
if a
time.
project management software, right? So what if software came out that said, hey, you don't pay us for software. You put in your project, we analyze whether it'll be on time and on budget, and you pay us a percentage of the savings. That's all. So what's
Yeah.
interesting about the idea of like vitamin versus painkiller versus cure, the incentive alignment around the cure is very strong, right? I'm not here to sell you licenses. I'm here to put more money in your pocket. I'm here to
Right.
de-risk your process, right? That's what I'm doing. And the financial incentives are 100% aligned. I'm not trying to sell you more licenses. The way I think about releasing features in my product is 100% aligned. If it doesn't help you get your project done cheaper, better, faster, I'm not releasing it. And I think so the interesting dynamic of that is not only are startups smart to go down this path, the TAM, the total addressable market, is massive. I think I talk about it. I talk about this a lot in my last book, Creating the Intangible Enterprise. And I talk about asymmetry, right?
Hmm.
Asymmetry is, most engineering firms, et cetera, they have no asymmetry in their business models. It's like work an hour, get paid an hour.
Right.
Gross margins are the same. It's very labor arbitrage focus. There's no asymmetry in it. Versus the spend an hour, get paid $1 million. But sometimes I spend an hour and I get $0.
Right.
Right. Which is like, think about like law firms that do contingency work. There's plenty of projects that go nowhere, but the ones that hit are like these class action lawsuits, and they get 8 figures and they get 30% of that, right? So I think one is like these models now become very asymmetric in terms of how they operate. Some projects you get paid on, some projects you don't, but so what, right? Versus charging a percentage of the construction volume for your software. We know a company that does that. So maybe that's not the model anymore, right? Maybe the model is purely on the cure, and then we work towards fixing an industry, fixing the problem, not just tracking the problem. No customer ever said, "Oh, I love your construction management software." The owners never say that. They're like, "I don't care what you use sticky notes. I don't care. That's not my problem. I just want my project done on time, on budget. How you do it is your problem." So I think that's where the market is going to. I think that's how we're seeing things develop that are much more, because you can de-risk the work and still get the upside. In other words, if I was an AI-driven law firm today, I'd have like 3 attorneys and a bunch of AI agents evaluating, and I'd be 100% contingency. I get 30% of, and then all I need is people to go to court when I go to court. But how many things go to court? They mostly get settled.
Yeah.